I think we've been scammed.
4 weeks ago, we took our van into a body shop to deal with some of the rusty parts. 4 weeks later, we can finally tell you what's happened with Summer. Now, we need your help to understand if we were scammed or not.
I didn't want to be making this video, but here we are. If you're new here, I'm Chris, and with my wife Carrie and our dog Bob, we're in the process of reconverting our previously converted VW T4. And along the way, we've had some interesting pieces of the journey so far. It's probably cost us a little bit more than we were hoping for, but we're now in a position to talk about the rust. Have we been scammed? Now, first and foremost, I am not a mechanic. I'm not a carpenter, I'm not an electrician, I'm not a tradesman. I am learning everything as I go. And most of the time I have no idea what I'm doing, as you can tell from the comments and my replies to the comments. But that also means that I don't know most of the time what is and what isn't a fair price for a particular type of work. For example, rust, bodywork, welding and fabrication. My general rule of thumb is, if somebody seems fairly legitimate, if Google reviews check out, if they have a nice website, if it looks like they know what they're doing, I will take them on face value if they give me a rough idea of costs. And if I'm happy with that cost, it's something that I'm willing to pay, then I'll say yes, I won't haggle too much, and we get started. At least that's how it's supposed to work.
On the 15th of July, we dropped Summer off at the body shop. We even paid a booking fee to get our VW in, and we waited to hear back about the state of the van and what work was needed. The garage explained that they worked on a day rate and that we had to have money on account to pay for the days in advance. I also charge a day rate and often ask for monies in advance, so I didn't think this was going to be an issue. However, when we were initially told that we were looking at 5 full days work at £720 per day, £3,600 just to get started, I began to panic.
Would you say it's time for everyone to panic? Yes, I would, Kent.
At this point, we made it clear we would not be able to move forward with this. If we were going to be spending £3,500 plus, this would be a problem. The budget for this van didn't include an endless pit of cash to spend on any particular part of this build.
I'm only burning my half.
Several messages and a phone call later, we agreed to sort just the worst parts, and the garage would start with 3 days work at £650 per day. So we sent £1,950. 3 days later, having not heard anything, I sent a message and found out that they wouldn't be starting on the van till the 29th of July. Fast forward a week. Excitedly, I waited until the Tuesday morning. I texted to find out how things were progressing, but it turns out they hadn't even started on the van. Finally, Monday arrived, and the update read, account balance 3 days, today's work, £650, cleaning up, grinding, cutting, welding, fabrication, all in progress. Account balance 2 days. What then followed was bizarre, or at least it was to me. The message simply read, sliding door rubber needed. So off I went, scouring the internet for the right one, sending links. No one ever confirmed which one I should buy. In the meantime, we were just sent these pics. Simple update, in progress. And what then followed was a request for panels. Now, I like to consider myself a pretty good Googler, but when it comes to body panels, I don't have any particular favourite websites. I sent as many options back as I could and was simply told they weren't right and that we would have to start fabrication. Fabrication, a word that now triggers PTSD for us and our bank account. It wasn't even 1 PM on the first day, and I received this. The account will definitely need topping up. There's quite a few areas to do, makes it harder, longer when no panels are available. In my head, I'm already doing the simple maths. It's time to pull out. I sent a long message to explain that going into the £4,000 of works wasn't going to work for us. At this stage, if that was going to be the case, I prefer to pick up the vehicle as is and potentially look at a new vehicle to convert. The response was, it all depends on how well we can repair that area and what parts are available. I think it's best to see how we've got on after day 3, then touch base.
Now at this stage, something didn't feel right. And as I explained the situation to my wife Carrie, she agreed.
The following morning, by 9:30 AM, we received the dreaded daily update and these pictures. A piece of the van had now been cut out. Progress, I guess? By 1:30 PM, we had pictures of a new piece being made with the update, fabrication in progress. By 2 PM, the piece looked like this. By 4:30 PM, we were being asked for money again. Now, so far, to the best of my knowledge, during the last 2 full days, we have looked unsuccessfully for panels, cut one piece off the van, cut and bent some sheet metal to replace the old rusty piece that was removed, and the total cost to date so far is £1,550. I asked, what were you thinking? To try and gauge a rough estimate of where these works might end. Okay, great. Should we go with a week's work? I said, a week in total? He said, no, a week on top of what you've paid. At this point, I lost my shit.
Rage, fucking rage!
I made it clear now that this wasn't something I wanted to pursue. So far, we had sent £2,200 for the booking fee and 3 days' work. All I could see so far was one piece had been removed and one piece starting to be fabricated. So I took a much stronger stand. I appreciate that, but with no end in sight, 3 days turning into probably needing more days, etc., it just doesn't work. Appreciate it's in good condition, I just don't have the budget to be able to keep throwing money at it like this. If you can finish the sliding doorstep area section tomorrow, I'll then have to figure out an option for the rear and any other issues. But the day rate approach, which I completely appreciate why you charge and the quality of your work clearly speaks for itself, I just think this is going to continue to go well over any budget estimates I had, and at a certain point it's not viable or affordable on my end, I'm afraid. Without knowing the final amount, I'm just unable to continue like this. The conversation quickly deteriorated, and I was really starting to lose my cool.
At this point, I was really angry. It felt like somehow we were dealing with Bernie Madoff or the Tinder swindler or something.
Eventually, we got to a point where I said, so you need one additional day to finish the works. And he basically said, at least an extra day. This wasn't okay. Wednesday morning arrived and the dreaded update on balance came through. Account balance 1 day. Today's work. Cleaning up, grinding, cutting, welding, fabrication, all in progress. Let's just take a quick look and a reminder here. Every day, the same things are happening. At 11:41 a.m, we got an update. There's a picture, it's a piece of sheet metal that I guess had been completely fabricated at this stage, but I don't know. Does this kind of fabrication take 2.5 days? We also had another text message simply asking, can you top up please? At 12:23, things got exciting. A photo of a fabricated piece clamped onto the van. I replied to the message and stated that I couldn't continue to top up. If they couldn't confirm that this piece would be done tomorrow, then I would happily pick the van up today. After replies like, it's quite possible, I lost it completely. Whether this is the going rate for welding on a vehicle or not, I was pissed off beyond reason, and I was done. I sent a long message to state that I was done, and that I'd be picking up the van rather than carrying on anymore. This changed the tone. Suddenly, I received this. Okay, I'll do you a deal and we can both part company on good terms. If it rolls over, I'll cover the cost. This to me is when it sunk in that I had been dealing with someone who wasn't shooting straight. I agreed to the final day, but only with payment upon collection, and he didn't accept that at first. I can't change our terms, but I agreed to finish that area. I stuck to my guns and refused to pay anything else on account, simply stating that I wanted to pick the van up with this piece finished and then he'd get payment. Okay, transfer the money tomorrow. 9 a.m. message comes in. Now we made it clear, I owe money. Account balance 0. And today's work, guess what? Cleaning up, grinding, cutting, welding, fabrication, all in progress. This seems familiar. I asked when I could come down to pick up the van. The back and forth that followed really annoyed me. The we might not be done in time, the we might need some finish some bits on Monday were really the last straw. I eventually said, that's fine, I'll pay the money before I take the van. I'll be there this afternoon at 4:30 p.m. to pick up the van. Now this is where things get interesting. You see, I was really pissed off at this stage. I decided to drive down and camp out in the cafe that's opposite the garage that morning. I figured I could keep an eye on what was and or wasn't happening to the van, and to be honest with you, when something bugs me like this and doesn't feel right, I can't let it go. By 11:30, they were working on the van. Once the piece had been welded on, the owner came out and took some pictures of the van. Those pictures were then sent to me along with a message to say it would be done by end of play today and that I needed to make the transfer for the last day's money. By 12:45 p.m, the rear bumper had been put back on, bearing in mind no works had been done on the rear cross member in the end. The door was closed and the van, even though it was still jacked up, was no longer being worked on. After asking what time I could pick up the van, I was sent this message at 11 minutes past 1. If you aim for 4:30, it'll be ready. This photo was taken at 13:11 too. By 2 p.m, the van had been taken off the jacks, lowered back onto its wheels, and at that point I had to sit outside the cafe as they were closing up. I didn't take any more images at that point because I was literally sat watching them closing up their garage. By 2:30 p.m, the garage was closed, locked up, and everyone had gone home. No more work had happened on the van since his update message to tell me that they still needed to finish the welding and the priming. I sent a message to the garage owner asking where the key was. This was all he replied. It'll be on top of the driver's side front wheel. Now, 3 weeks, 4 days, and £2,850 later, this is what has been fixed.
Now we need you, our viewers' help. We need your experience, your opinions, your thoughts on this, and we really need it quite badly, to be honest. Did we get scammed? If you can leave your thoughts and your comments down below in the comments, we're going to look at this and we're going to try and figure out what our next steps are. We haven't done a lot of this sort of stuff before, so I don't really know whether getting one piece like that fabricated for a VW T4 should cost £2,850. My gut tells me that we got scammed, but that isn't an exact science. That's just my opinion. And of course, bearing in mind, we still have a major rust problem. So we're going to need help. If you've got any recommendations, any body shops, any garages, anyone that you would trust with your VW T4, please do let us know. I feel like this is a massive lesson to learn. We're probably not the first, we're not going to be the last, but it's all part of the journey, right? The last piece of this is obviously this does sting right now. £2,850 represents a huge part of what we had left in the budget for the VW. But we're hoping that one day we'll be able to look back and laugh at this. That's definitely not right now. Right now, this really stings. So let us know. Did we get conned? Did we get scammed? Are we victims on this one? If you've enjoyed this video, please do hit the subscribe button. Follow us along on this crazy adventure as we continue to build out our VW T4. For now, the only thing that really matters is finding my wife and my dog. This is all that actually matters. Hey, Bob. T4. And if you check out this video up here, you'll also see us getting the chance to eat some really nice Wagyu beef on a farm here in Sussex.